And welcome back to Sandton. It's a beautiful day here up on the Gauteng Highveld, and a beautiful day for a celebration, but also a moment, an opportunity to stop and take stock, reflect on 25 years of the W&RSETA. And, when we come to acronyms, this is usually where we lose people. So W&RSETA, the Wholesale and Retail Sector Education and Training Authority. And you would know that we have 21 SETAs in the country. This is one of them. You heard earlier from some of the beneficiaries of the W&RSETA programs. And we're speaking now to some of the leadership just to find out what this 25-year journey has brought with it. So with me this morning, I have the CEO, Mr. Tom Mkhwanazi, and he's been with the entity for 5 years now. So we'll catch up with him in just a moment. And we also have with us the CFO, Ms. Lindiwe Nhlapo. Thanks to both of you for giving us the opportunity to just help you reflect on these 25 years of the W&RSETA. Let me start with you, Mr. CEO, but just looking at the mandate of the W&RSETA. We spoke earlier on about entry-level jobs, and this is where many people will have their first opportunity into the world of work, but it is equally an important sector because it contributes immensely to the GDP of the country. So let's talk to the mandate of the W&RSETA.
Thank you, Shakina, for the opportunity. The W&RSETA's mandate is to facilitate skills development through a grant system, and we focus both on employed and unemployed. But over and above that, we also focus on those that want to grow their businesses. So in small business space and informal sector, in cooperatives, we support colleges and universities through bursaries, and also just to ensure that the teaching and learning in TVET colleges is at the level where it's supposed to be, by supporting them either through lecturer capacitation, infrastructure development, equipment in certain cases, assist them to ensure that they are accredited to programs that we are supposed to do. But the main conversation has always been about youth in particular, and I think that's where probably the focus of the SETA is, with all the other programs that we do. So as a SETA, we then do a number of other programs, which is learnerships, skills programs, work integrated learning, just workplace experience, where we give young people the opportunity to get some workplace experience so that they can then be able to start working. And because a lot of times young people get qualifications from universities or colleges, but they don't necessarily have the skill to actually go into work. So we give them opportunities from that angle, and then we also provide bursaries for these young people so that they can then study and get back into the sector. So I think that's generally what, as a SETA in a nutshell, we do. We don't hire anyone. We are not companies.
But you provide opportunities.
But we provide opportunities, and we work with those companies in the sector to ensure, and we work with them. They are our biggest partners to ensure that they get young people to those opportunities. But we've also been focusing on ensuring that young people get into entrepreneurship. So we also do entrepreneurship programs, and we want young people to then think about to start their own business, because not all the employers that we have can absorb everyone in the sector. So that's our mandate in the nutshell. It's quite a big mandate, but I think the narrative outside there has always been it's about youth only, while we do a wide range of programs to support in upskilling those that are in the employ, and also assisting that are growing their businesses, but also youth unemployment.
I think think what's very important and critical to what you've just touched on is the unemployed segment of our society, and youth in particular, because depending on the numbers you look at, by the expanded definition, it is definitely more than 60% of young people in this country who find themselves unemployed. So to those who are sitting and watching here this morning, they want to know, how do they get involved? As you say, there's opportunity for entrepreneurship. There are bursaries. How do the unemployed actually get themselves into the SETA's programs?
So the SETA, as I've indicated, work with partners. So it means the funding goes to partners. So we then hope that the partners that we work with advertise these opportunities and share them with young people. But over and above that, what we have done as a SETA is that we've set up, we've just launched it, a career guidance toolkit where young people need to go into this toolkit. And because a lot of young people, by the way, go into the wholesale and retail sector by chance. When everywhere else has failed, then they go into the sector. So we've then set up this tool so they can then go and do a career quiz and provide them with opportunities then. Where can they go from a university or a college point of view? We've got all of the, probably majority, 90% of those institutions are in our system. We are then encouraging employers now to start posting their opportunities also in our platform. A number of employers, not necessarily live in our sector, are now posting opportunities in terms of the bursaries when a young person has determined what career path do they want to take. Yeah.
Critical, absolutely. Career guidance has for the longest time not receive the necessary attention, so perhaps something that needs to be looked into. But Ms. Nhlapo, let me come to you. The CEO spoke about, the funding, the grants that are received, but also, of course, contributions from some of the employers. So people talk about the skills levy, but then they don't know how this actually benefits them. And that has to be a failure of communication, not just on the SETA part, but just generally from the employer's perspective as well. So talk to us about the funding situation.
Okay, thank you so much. So you're absolutely right that a lot of people know that they pay the skills levy because obviously it is a legislative requirement. However, there's very little participation in terms of the employers themselves applying for the grant funding, because essentially, in as much as the levies are collected by SARS and are deducted from the employees themselves, you still require the employer itself to come back to the SETA and put through an application whereby then we can pay them the grant, which they can utilize then to upskill and train their staff members. So essentially, it is very, very critical that there is participation from the employer side of things to make sure that the levies that are collected are being utilized as intended.
So what does an employee do if their employer is not active? Can the employee, is there a mechanism by which they can actually ensure that they can use the skills levy that they contribute if their employer is not assisting them?
Unfortunately, not. I think as the CEO has indicated that we work with partners. So if the employer doesn't actually then embark on the process of claiming the relevant grant that is intended to assist the employee, there is absolutely no process that allows the employee themselves to process an application directly with the SETA. But however, there's different grants. So that would be the mandatory grant. And then there's another grant, which is then the discretionary grant. That one can also be claimed, if not directly by the employee, it could also be other facilitation partners that the SETAs work with. And therefore, then you will find that either the unemployed or the employed can benefit from those programs.
And perhaps an opportunity also to speak to employers this morning for those who are not doing what they're supposed to ensure that people actually do have access to these opportunities. Mr. CEO, you know, when we look down 25 years of the W&RSETA, perhaps that's one of the issues that you'd like to reflect on.
Yes. Employers have to submit what is called the workplace skills plan and an annual training report every year in order to claim some of these grants that we have. And they are encouraged then to set up training committees. And in these training committees, they are represented by unions. So, and we do not approve any of those WSPs if the union did not sign. That's how then we try and encourage employees to participate then in the process, because they need to then know what sort of training programs that the employer is going to put in place, but they can also give input in terms of what they need, some upskilling that they require from their side. But I think as an organization, we also do on a yearly basis, we've got what we call stakeholder forums, where we get everyone and we encourage them to understand what our programs are. Obviously, not everyone participate, and then I think probably there's been a lot of issues in terms of us sharing information and people understanding what we do.
And that is certainly clear. I tell you what, it's 8 o'clock, so we need to go back to studio and hand it to Leanne. But of course, so much that we still need to unpack, discuss, as the W&RSETA reflects, as much as they celebrate 25 years of existence. It's back to you, Leanne.